people, welcome back to my channel. I am Sheila Bet and this is the Sheila Bet Show. To all my new subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. You're welcome to the family, and yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. Please feel free to write on the comment section, like the video, subscribe and share with your friends who you think might be into this kind of content. So I'll start off by apologizing for any shadows you might see in the background. Let's just call it artistic expression. Shooting in the nighttime. I recently got married, and if you've been on this channel before, you might know this because I've done a wedding update video. In light of that, today's topic is about keeping my surname as opposed to taking my husband's surname or changing my name or hyphenating or any of the other options that include changing my name after marriage. So I did announce that I'm a Mrs. Yes, I am, but I also remain as Sheila Bet. So my identity in terms of my name remains the same. It doesn't change at all. I did a little bit of research and I realized that actually majority of the world, or at least representation from African countries, a lot of countries that are of the Christian religion, because I think Muslims, when Muslim women get married, they don't have to change their name, they keep their maiden names. So it's a cultural practice that's around the world, and it was law at some point, which was a very interesting thing to learn for me. I was basically Googling online to find out where did this even come from, the idea of a woman changing her surname into her husband's name when she gets married. And I've not dug too deep into this, so I think this is a conversation that should go on over time. But just for now, for the purposes of today, this idea of surnames in the first place and women taking their husbands' names upon getting married was introduced to the UK in the 11th century. So it's not even that old. Like, it's kind of old, but not that old. And I really think maybe in a lot of African countries, the practice was present. Like, I think with the Kikuyu people, you hear a lady be called Wa something, but it's usually of the father. So yes, patriarchal practices have been existent around the world for a long, long time, and we are trying to get rid of them because they're not really fair. But some people are comfortable with it, and I guess, to each his own. So how this happened in the UK was that after the Normandy conquest, the Normandy were people from France of now. After they conquered England, they basically introduced this law called the coverture law, and it basically said that the woman belonged to the man. She was like one of his properties. So as soon as she got married, she became wife of, and that was the reason why she took the name of the husband. But initially she wouldn't have a surname in the first place. This was linked to a lot of injustices towards women, because women weren't allowed to vote back in those days. They weren't allowed to own property under their name. They had to have it under their husband's name, and that's why they took the surname. Just a bunch of things where the woman was not a full individual. So, I mean, the practice has continued over time, obviously, because of just kind of repetition. People get born, they find things are being done a certain way, and they take those things up. So I just remember, for me as a kid growing up, I always questioned, why would I have to change my name? And I didn't think there was a reason to. One of the reasons why I wanted to keep my name as is, if and when I got married, was because I just like the sound of my name. I've got 3 government names, 3 given names, and I just liked the combination of my first name and my last name, Sheila Bet. I always thought, sounds perfect, I wouldn't change a thing about it. So yeah, I used to say, I actually made a funny joke one time, I remember when I was in uni. I was often caught in debates with friends talking about stuff like this, and it was always such a different, new way of looking at the world. And some people just thought I was weird. If you watch 20 Facts About Me, you'll know I'm perfectly comfortable with being different. It doesn't bother me at all. And sometimes I actually enjoy it, to be quite honest. Sometimes I would just rack up some controversy just for the fun of it, just to be a little cheeky. But this is something I really felt strongly about. And I remember saying, because my last name or my surname starts with a B, I was like, unless I marry someone with a B name that sounds maybe cooler than mine, then maybe I'll change it. But I quickly changed my mind because I wasn't being serious at that point. But around 2019, I actually started a conversation on my Instagram about this, and I was asking ladies on my Instagram if they intended to change their names or take their husband's names upon getting married. And I also asked guys if they cared whether the woman they married took their name or not. So there were interesting conversations that came up from that. And yeah, I just basically realized that the influence behind what people choose to do is based on just a few factors. So some things were introduced to me that actually made me think. I was like, so apparently there are going to be some challenges to keeping my name as is, or there might be. I'm not saying there will. There just might not be. It might be super smooth sailing from here on out. But for me, it was super nice that my husband didn't really care if I kept my name or took his name. Actually, where he comes from, it's not common practice for women to change their names when they get married. Everyone keeps their individual identity, and then the family, as individuals, comes together to form one unit or one family. I just remember asking people whether they would do this, and there were several reasons why people did it. One of them was, there's someone who just blatantly said, it's tradition. So I'm going to talk about the reasons why I chose to keep my name as is, and some of the reasons why people change their names in the first place. So I think it's really good. I really believe in people making decisions based on information, having a good knowledge base, so that when you're deciding to do things, you kind of understand where they're coming from, what they mean. And if you don't really care, if it doesn't matter to you, that's okay, but at least you know. I'd also like to mention that this is no judgment to anyone who chooses to do things differently. I just think it's an interesting thing to talk about because it's not common practice, but it could become common practice over time. In most Western communities, it's starting to be more and more embraced, and there are even much more controversial kind of ways that people are adapting to kind of ending patriarchy in the little ways that they can. One of the reasons I decided to keep my name was it just felt complete as is. It really does feel complete as is. I see myself as Sheila Bet. That's how I've identified as since I was a child. There are even people who know me who call me by both my names, Sheila and Bet. I just remember always thinking, I don't see any reason why I should add or subtract from my name. Actually, that's a totally different story. I have thought of subtracting. I just like the sound of two names, my two names, but I do keep the third one because my middle name, because it's quite, special to members of my family, my grandma, my aunties, my mom. They do use it to refer to me, so yeah, I'll keep that name. The point of this video is to just basically explain my way of doing things. Like I said, I'm totally comfortable doing things differently from the norm, as long as it makes sense to me. And I think it should be the same for everyone. Do what makes you happy, do what makes you smile. That's one reason. I just love the sound of my name. It's my brand, it's my identity, it's complete as is. Now that I'm married, I'm part of a new family, which is me and my husband's, and by extension his family, and he's part of my family, and that's a really beautiful thing, and I don't think a name makes a big difference when it comes to that. Another reason why I chose to keep my name was because it's rooted in patriarchy. The idea of taking your husband's name, to me, is not fair, especially when it's not a two-sided street. So if he doesn't have to change his name, it's not even suggested or expected, what's the reason behind me changing my name? Why is my identity changing? That's another reason. That's my reason. It's good enough for me. Another reason, and this is one that actually came up when I was talking to some friends on Instagram about whether they would change their names or keep them, or what kind of thing they would do to their names once they got married, was I found out it's a crazy hectic process to change your name after marriage. Because once you change your name, you have to change all your documents, from your passport, your driver's license, anything that identifies you. Imagine, like, for example, you're getting married at the age of 30. All the things you've done under the name that you've been using for that period of your life, all the documents that you've acquired, your license, basically every single document has to match with your new name that you acquire. So if you drop your name, and now you don't have this name, that it doesn't exist anymore, that used to, you're basically not the same person. So you have to go change your passport, just all this government run around. For me personally, especially after the kind of process I went through just to get married, it's not even remotely worth the trouble. Yeah, it's just a hectic process. One of the reasons why people, you know, go through these processes is because they want to kind of match everything together. And another reason is some people feel like it helps you to travel much more easily as a family. So I don't know how that's gonna look because I do intend to travel a lot with my family, of two now and as it grows. But yeah, hopefully that won't be a problem. Hopefully we won't have to walk around with our marriage certificate because that's a little mental. It's interesting that this came up quite a few times, especially towards the wedding itself that happened recently, and also within the day and after. A lot of people brought this subject up, and I remember one of the first ones was a friend of mine who called me to ask, so what's your new name going to be? And it was actually linked to the gift that she was going to get me. She told me this later, but because she knew me well enough, we had had conversations, we were friends from university. Hey Esther. It also did come up on the wedding day itself. I was with some of my really good friends and one of them was asking, so you're going to be Mrs. Who from now on? And I told her, no, I'm just going to be, you know, Bet. I'm going to be Sheila Bet as I've always been. And she was just like, what? I even have a little clip of that because we were kind of now mucking around about it. Another friend of mine was like, oh, so, but it's okay, you can hyphenate, you can still keep Bet and have his name as your last name. But, I mean, my point was to keep my name as it is, the same way he keeps his name as it is. I think it's all good. Another point when it came up was, I had posted a picture of us on our wedding day on my Facebook, and then this guy sent a congratulatory message. He says, congratulations, you're now no longer Miss Bet, but Mrs. Ellipses. And I just thought, oh, that's interesting. So it doesn't come up too much, but it comes up enough for you to notice that this is an expectation that people have, that you should change your name upon getting married. It's just normal, like, what do you mean? Why wouldn't you do it? I just wanted to kind of put this out there that not everybody will do that, and these are some of the reasons why I didn't do it. This is a conversation I find to be really interesting, like I said earlier, and I'm definitely interested in making it a longer conversation. I would love to know what you guys would do. For the ladies who are watching me, are you planning to change your name? Are you married? Did you change your name? Did you not change your name? What were your reasons? What has been your experience so far with it? For me, I just feel proud because I stuck to my guns and I've done what feels right and what feels true to me. And it's kind of the same way that I wore a red dress on my wedding. That felt like my truest expression of myself, of how I would dress to celebrate a very big event in my lifetime. I'd love to hear from you. If you disagree with my views, respectfully say so, and why you disagree with them. If I've made you consider keeping your name, if that didn't cross your mind, but you're like, cool idea, I think I could do this, I would think, yeah, that's a cool thing, let me know as well. And yeah, I guess that's it. Until next time, guys, have a lovely week, and it's been nice chatting with you. We can continue this conversation on the comments section, and I'm definitely going to be talking a lot more about this with probably different takes, different people's perspectives on the very same subject. Until next time, take care, have a good week, and lots of love.